Dear viewer, as much as I enjoy everyone watching these videos, there are topics that are that may be hard for some to hear about in a casual manner due to past trauma. I'm trying to word this in the best way I can. Please be aware that there are mentions of different types of familial trauma as well as relationship trauma. If you cannot continue watching this video, I understand. Thank you for clicking. I deeply appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. Ooh. Let me tell you. This has been a very, 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 very long adventure of trying to figure out entire movie genre. Well, I guess short film, short series, but they're more like films because they're just mashed together in the way that I consume them. They come from across the world. Okay. If you couldn't tell, I am very obviously American. I come from the boondocks. Okay. It's like we are out here surrounded by trees and trees, cattle, wild hogs, and good things. A lot of mosquitoes. All right. Now that you understand where I come from, let me tell you where these films come from. China. China. Let me tell you something. Before we get underway, I have nothing against China, nothing against Chinese people, nothing against them, and you know, it's like, right? Okay. This is a this was my curiosity getting the better of me and me falling down a very, 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 very long rabbit hole of trying to figure out a whole type of industry that I didn't really know that much about. And well, not really the industry, because I have to be so for real. I don't look my slippers. Anyway, I don't care that much about the industry. But we will get into it later. This is going to be recorded over quite a period of time, so if I change clothes and I change position, just know I obviously will say something, but whatever. Anyway, I'm more focused on the plots because that is what has me the most confused. When I tell you I've fallen down a deep rabbit hole. So when I started this, I started watching them in January. I started watching these Chinese short dramas, is kind of what they're called. Um, Obviously, the English version. Chinese short dramas. I found them randomly on YouTube one day, and I was like, huh, this looks interesting. So I clicked on it, and it was like 2 hours long, and I was shocked. I was like, why is it so long? Actually, that's a lie. That's when I got back into it. The first time, I'm sorry, my brain was like, no. Anyway, the first time I watched a Chinese short drama was because of the one that blew up on TikTok a while back. It was The one about the girl who was blind and then she fell in love with her bodyguard and he was like protecting her. I'll insert a clip. Anyway, that one was the first one I watched. And then after I watched it, I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then I kind of went on my way. And then eventually, sometimes like another one will pop up on my feed because I watch K dramas. And so they're like, oh, why don't you watch this one? So it's like, oh, sure, I'll watch this. I mean, I don't watch K dramas on YouTube, and that's the thing. These came up on YouTube, and that's where I watched them. My K dramas I watch on a separate platform. So it's like, okay, I know all of my electronics are spying on me. It's whatever. I don't care. I know it, But I was like, interesting. The next thing, time passes. Okay, and lo and behold, January hits, and and there's another one pops up on my For You page, and I was just like, let me look at that. So I watched it, and then this is where I fell down that rabbit hole of Chinese short dramas. And I will say that I have probably watched at least one every week since. It's been a long journey. I feel like I know Chinese even though I don't, okay? I can't recognize some phrases actually, which is like amazing what films can do for to the mind. It's like because films are an amazing thing. They immerse you into a somewhat reality of where this film is coming from, so you can begin to pick up on some of the dialect over time. Not me. I am nowhere close to being fluent, but I do know what certain words mean. Not all the time, because obviously when you say it and pronounce it different, it has a different meaning. And the translation on the YouTube videos that I watch is not always great. You have to take some liberties to understand it. But I have to give myself some credit. I will have to give myself some credit. Okay. Just this section is more of a little overall understanding of this genre, because it has me in a chokehold, and it also makes me very, 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 very upset at the same time, because I'm just like, what in the world am I even watching? This has been a very interesting journey for me, for sure. I never expected to go on this rabbit hole when I first started this. I thought I was going to be like, yeah, I'll watch a few, make a video about it, move on with the rest of my plans. Like, go down my list that I made for stuff I would like to talk about on my YouTube channel. How I was wrong. How I was so very wrong. Here I am, 5 months in to this year, and I am just now getting to the first recording of this video. To the first time I actually sit down on video and be like, let me talk about what I've seen. Because I feel like I've gone through a lot. And I know I haven't, because it's just been watching movies or short dramas that are all combined into a movie-like style. It's been a long journey. Let's break this down. I mean, because somebody has to. Because somebody has to, and I choose to be that person. I dedicate myself to be that person. So get comfy. Grab yourself a nice glass of water. Grab yourself something, some chips, some candy, I don't know. I have my little beautiful pink Stanley with me with ice. Shake. Yeah. And strawberry mango tea. Yay. And we're going to get into this because gotta start sometime, and this intro has been going on for way too long. When I first got into this, I didn't know what to expect. Besides the little bit that I had learned from the first Chinese short drama that I watched way back in the day when I watched that one about the bodyguard and the blind girl, I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be like, this was me and my American ignorance being on full display in this moment because I was expecting it to be like American films. And that was totally ignorant of me to do so. Because it's not American film. These aren't produced by Americans. They're not written by Americans. They're not portraying American actors or Western actors. These are Chinese actors produced in Chinese companies, produced in China and surrounding areas, portraying their society. And I was too dumb to realize that when I first got into that. I admit. Okay. I also will admit I did not do much research in the beginning about Chinese society and cultural things and historical things and stuff like that because, as I stated before, I didn't expect this to take 5 months and counting. When this video comes out, that's a good question. This first video will come out in May. It will. When the follow-up videos will come out, that's something only the future and God can tell me. I don't know. But just know I've done research. And this has been a long, long journey. I feel like that was a really long disclaimer. Oh well. So, one of the first C-dramas is what I will call them now, even though I do not believe they technically fall into the realm of C-dramas because they are so short and not long enough to be considered a full drama, but I'll call them a C-drama anyway. The first C-drama I watched was about a woman I'm so doomed. Who ended up having 2 kids by a man she didn't know. I don't know how to describe this in a way where I do not get kicked off this platform. Uh, 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 against her will, and there's a fly in here. There's a fly in here! I swear. Oh my goodness, I'm going to crash out. It's fine. Who had 2 kids, twins, right? By a man against her will. Back in the day, 5 years or so pass, and then she runs into him again, and then he's like trying to win her back, but also take custody of the kids while his very, very toxic and controlling suitor, I don't know what you would describe them as, we'll go into that character more later, is trying to unalive his kids and the mother of his kids, with a whole bunch of side drama happening at the same time, and people hitting each other on purpose, horrible effects, and low budgets. It's a beautiful world to watch. I deeply, deeply recommend, and let me just say, I deeply enjoy the genre, and I highly recommend it as well. obviously trigger warnings for 99% of that section of the series and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, okay. So it's like this. She has to figure out this thing, and throughout this whole process, somehow she's falling in love with this man simply because he's rich. And well, he is rich. He's rich, he's nice, he's been looking for her all these years, and he loves his kids. I was thrown off. I was very much thrown off by this whole movie because it was so different than that first one that I had seen. It was like somebody hit me upside the head, and I was like, what in the world am I even watching? And then after that, I was just like, okay, let me just find a different one. I just probably found a bad one, a bad free one on YouTube. It's whatever. So I get back on YouTube. I go to the channel that I watched that first one on, and I was like, let me find another one on this channel because I that one wasn't on that channel. So I was like, sometimes it's not good to branch out, So I was like, oh, let me go back to a safe space. So I go and find this another one. It's like called. I'll put up the title and a picture of it. It's like My Boss Is Obsessed with Me or something. There's a girl. She gets stuck in a time loop for a really long time, and she's trying to figure out how to get out of it. I won't spoil it. And it's really cute and it's really funny. I was like, this reminds me of K-dramas. This is what I enjoy. I put it on my, I'll watch this again, my save, watch more, watch later, whatever it's called. And I was just like, yes. So I'm not noticing too much of a difference between that one bad one that I found and what I'm used to seeing from the Eastern movie sphere, kinda, because obviously there's differences in everything. I will not say that I know the full history of all of movies from the Eastern Hemisphere. Is that the Eastern Hemisphere? I think it is. I don't know. Let me Google. Oh my god! Not broken. Put screen protectors on your phones, children. Do it. Anyway. So, I was like, okay. It's like, but this one has a lot of historical films and violence films and stuff, and I don't do stuff like that. And you'd be like, wait a minute. You know that meme? Wait a minute. Anyway, don't you like horror movies? I do. They are my favorite genre. I don't do action movies or historical movies almost ever. Side tangent here. You may be like, why don't you do action movies? Because I'm just not a big fan of action, and also I'm not a big fan of sci-fi. We'll get into that later. Uh, and then historical, I guess I've just been burned way too many times by the Western movie sphere, and they're not so great work on portraying history. Man, the wind is loud. They're not so great work on portraying history, so I tend to avoid it most of the time. Back to the C-dramas. So I branched out again. I think this was a very good decision. Sometimes it takes more than one try to find a beautiful, beautiful film industry. And I land on another one, just like that first one I saw, but it's slightly better. I don't know if it's slightly better, if I just knew what to expect at this point, so it didn't weird me out as much. But once again, oh, hiccups. Once again, we have that same plot of the woman who conceived children, multiple kids, one child, 10 children. That was when I saw it. I saw it. Trust me, I saw it. She had like 10 kids. And I was just like, this is so stupid. Anyway, and runs back into her baby daddy, and he's trying to win her back or take the children from her because he thinks like she's a horrible person, or he's ashamed and whatever. And I was just like, this is crazy. And like, it just kept spiraling. I kept spiraling. And next thing I know, I've seen 5 of the same plot of this whole thing. The mom has children. The rich CEO has been looking for her since that encounter. There's a random, very jealous, very horrible girlfriend, fiance, betrothed, somebody, stalker after him, while her family is usually terrible, and they just want her for money, and it was a setup because somebody slipped something into their drinks. We'll get into that later. And it's a thing. This whole thing happens, and it's just misunderstanding after misunderstandings, right? You know how K-dramas are so reliant on misunderstandings, and just like 38,000 episodes are based off of the fact that he wasn't able to hear her out when she was telling him something, and so they went 10 years without speaking to each other, and it's like, that whole thing. It's in C-dramas too. It's just on another level, okay? Like, I don't know if it's on, okay, maybe not on another level, but it's very close to that iconic misunderstandings in Korean films and Korean dramas, because it's just like, just talk, say words to each other, and it's all gonna be okay. I digress. Let's talk about these plots. I don't know if it's because I'm on YouTube doing this research and watching these, because I don't have that access to Chinese television on a regular, right? Because what I understand is that these are being played on Chinese television, probably in the daytime, because to take up film space. These are beginning actors, actresses who are making their way in the film industry, and it's you start with short dramas before you are kind of move up to the longer nighttime full dramas. It's very similar as well to the Korean film industry, and I believe the Japanese film industry is similar to that. I haven't done much research on the Japanese film industry. Okay, thank you. I like my anime more than I prefer live action Japanese work. That's just a preference. It has nothing to do with anything. It's just how it is. Anyway, so it's the same plot over and over. I think I watched the 5 children CEO runs into his baby mama from the past, or whatever, for the first time in 10 years plot, probably about 10,000 times. There are a number of plots that get repeated in these that are on YouTube. That's the first one. The second one is the oh my gosh, my brain just blanked on me. I have this whole thing scripted in my head, and whatever. Anyway, the second one is that you can hear my inner voice or my heart is like, however, my thoughts, your inner monologue. Somebody can hear your inner monologue. Sometimes it's my camera died. So, what was I on? Oh, yes. The many different repetitive styles or scripts in C dramas. I have to go. I'll cut whatever. So there's the ones that have the whatever, the mother. There's the inner voice. Then there's the mystical sci-fi ones, and those I have a harder time understanding because I don't have like complete knowledge of historical and mythological references in these things. Like, I know what acupuncture looks like, but beyond that, I don't. It's like I'm completely ignorant on that level. Besides the little research that I can do and understand without being a historical scholar, as somebody who's not a historical scholar who studies fashion. Okay, it's like I can only do so much research before my brain explodes. Okay, so then there's those, and those kind of are weird because they'll combine the previously mentioned like genre, the storyline. So say they'll combine the mother with 10 children with or I guess maybe one for this one, the mother with one child with the mythological uh, healing abilities that are very common in these stories. And either the mother will have that ability or the child will have that ability. And it's the same plot, only that they have these powers now and they're trying to heal somebody in that family. Maybe it's the father, maybe he like can't walk and he's in a wheelchair, or it's the grandmother, grandfather, somebody is sick. Usually. It's usually those three options: grandmother, grandfather, the father himself. We'll get into family dynamics in a later thing. I find it very interesting. And that kind of is a thing. But then you can also just like kind of be its own separate script. Like let's say she has once again those mythical powers of healing, and nobody believes, like thinks that she does because she comes from an ordinary family, and but nobody knows like she's the master whatever who has cured all of these diseases. I'm just like, oh, faith healings. Oh. Let me say this. As a Christian, I do believe that people have been miraculously healed by the power of God. Okay? However, that does not mean that all things are going to be cured simply because somebody in your church or group laid hands on you in the most respectful way possible, prayed over you and asked for healing. Humans have no control over who gets healed and who doesn't. That is out of our ability. We are human, not God. Okay, glad we cleared that up. I have a lot of, this is a side tangent, okay? Let me lay it down so you know that this is a side tangent. because I'm on my side. I have a lot of feelings about. I don't like this area of the films because they just rub me wrong. Because I feel like they push this idea that you just simply being, poked with for acupuncture is going to clear blood clot. I saw that one, and I'm like, that is so bad because that's not true, right? Acupuncture is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking acupuncture and saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying it is not a cure-all. If you are sick, go to a hospital. If you can afford it, go to trusted medical care professionals, okay, who know the body. Because acupuncture is not going to save your life. And 1,000-year-old, whatever that root is called, is also not going to save your life, right? So it kind of, I don't like watching that section of film because it makes me upset. As somebody who has a disease, okay, I have full faith in God. Okay, let's put that out there. I am not upset with God because I have a disease. I'm not mad at him because I go through these things on a regular, and I take a lot of medication. I just literally just came back from the hospital doing infusions. Like, I am not upset with God for this, and I also am don't think that I am the reason why I have a disease. It's like, those people who are like, did you sin? Is it because somebody in your family sinned so that you have this? Did you pray enough? Did you ask for repentance enough for you to not have it anymore? Don't believe them, okay? That's false. It's not true. That's stupid. In all reality, let's call a spade a spade. That's stupid. And that's very, very misguided and very, very hurtful. So don't do it. I don't have a full understanding of Buddhism, which is often portrayed in C dramas because Buddhism, oh my gosh, my brain is fried. Buddhism is very prevalent in as a religion in China and as well as other religions, but Buddhism is portrayed the most in the films that I have watched, right? So I don't understand all of the teachings. I have to do more research on that, but as I said, I am not a historical scholar. I study fashion, okay? My brain can only do so much when it comes to research. Anyway, that was a side tangent on my dislike of people and healings done by people and not by God. Because let me just say this. Whenever and if ever somebody says to me, like, oh my gosh, I was praying the other day and I asked God to do something and it was very important, like cure, whatever. I'm just gonna be like, and it's like, and they said I was gonna die, but I didn't die, and God saved me, and I'm just like, that is amazing. I absolutely love that for you. Way to go, God. Woo! You know, it doesn't, when stuff just can't be explained by science, I really just chalk it up to God because there's quite a few people who've been like, yeah, I'm gonna die. This is a tangent, and I am going to get off of my soapbox. I'm probably gonna get canceled. I probably should cut that section out. Who cares? I don't. Anyway. Ew, why is my necklace flipped around? Anyway, so that's a section. Don't particularly enjoy it. Then you have the prodigy section, okay? Once again, this one kind of floats around those major those three that I mentioned, okay? It weaves its way in between all of them. Most of the time, somebody in this whole thing is some sort of prodigy and pushing the country or industry to a new level. We'll get into the propaganda later. Um, so I was like, interesting. Fashion is a big one in the prodigy level. I noticed that. I was actually very intrigued by that. As a person who has, as I said, studies fashion, I was very intrigued by the fact that everybody in China apparently, all the women apparently seem to be fashion prodigies. And I'm just like, dang, leave some for the rest of us, you know? And then you also have the medical prodigies. It's science medical, but also supernatural, mythical medical as well. Prodigies on both of those. You have, I saw one, she was like a calligraphy prodigy. I don't understand that one completely. Explain it to me. And then you also have child prodigies, ballet prodigies, music prodigies, business prodigies. It's just all in there. Yeah. Jewelry prodigies. Like, yeah, I've seen a lot of films. Okay. Oh, one of these days, I better get paid good money. I'm losing brain cells by the second. Anyway, so it's like, okay, everybody can be a prodigy, but as I said, we'll get into the propaganda later. And those ones are most of the time very lighthearted, very fun. They usually have less of the violence in them than the ones that are very family heavy. And that's something we'll get into later as well, because it's like, why are all of the ones that have a lot more family interactions the ones that have a lot more violence a lot of the times? Because it's like, is this common? I hope not, right? Those ones are big. You have the time travel, those obviously are very big in most Eastern films. Time travel, isekais, stuff like that. Marry My Husband, beautiful drama series. I read it, and then when they said they were going to come out with the film or the series, I literally almost passed out. I was like, "Oh, this is beautiful," and it's such a great series, and I love it. And off topic, Sierra. Anyway, the reborn, as I said, sprinkled throughout the whole thing. So, evil stepmothers. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That one's in there as well. Um, Crazy redemption arcs, forgiveness of very very bad relationship trauma. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And those I hate probably the most. I'll talk about that later, because I hate those so much, more than I hate the healing ones. I hate these ones the most, and I think you will too by the time we get through this, because something is wrong here and somebody needs to fix it. Because if this is a reflection of society, something in society is very broken. Now, let's just say a lot of things in society are very broken, but we don't usually like to portray horribly brokenness in films that are supposed to be encouraging and lighthearted. However, I know that is a Western take on films, right? And it's good to show reality in films, but when we are glorifying it in this extent that they did, and this one in particular, I will literally have to scroll. If it's still on YouTube, it might have been taken down, honestly, for how bad it was. But for when I tell you, I was mortified. I was disgusted. I was actually. I felt like my skin was disgusting from just watching what I was watching and thinking like, how could somebody even have the sheer the audacity to be like, I'm going to stamp my name on this and be like, this is a movie, because no way. I was shocked. I honestly was very, very shocked. Yeah. So that's a short breakdown of all of the, well, not all, very few, some, about five, I think, five or six of the many genres that are found in this. And these stories are just repeated, literally almost line for line, actually. Scene for scene. It's just different actors. Then maybe it's the same actors, but they threw in a different little element. Like, I saw one. She's one of my favorite actresses. Love her. She's so funny. Oh my gosh, she's such a great actress. Anyway, I'll put up a picture of her. She did the reborn as the evil stepmother, right? And they can hear my inner thoughts. You see how they kind of just mix everything together in a little, it's like America, but it's China. Anyway, canceled again. Anyway, so she does that. She's really funny. She's like a karate, like MMA fighter. She's really cool, really like, she's the boss, and I love her. It's such a great movie. Highly recommend it. That's probably my favorite one because it's just too good, too good. And there's not as much violence, just comedy. Also note that there is some offensive imagery and language towards those in the LGBTQ plus community in this whole genre. But as we know, China is not known for being that progressive. So don't blame me if you get offended. That's your thing. Anyway, so she does that, and watch that one. Beautiful, love it. And then she did it again. Different actors and actresses in this film, but it's the same concept. Only instead of her being like an MMA person, she's she's like the MMA prodigy. You see what I'm saying? This time she's like the on her way to immortal status or something. I couldn't completely understand that one, once again, because I don't have full understandings of their mythology. On her way to immortal status and something, but she's kicked out of like the shrine. No, it's not a shrine. The temple. I think it's a temple. I don't know. I'm so canceled. Anyway, and she goes back down. They can hear her thoughts. She does the exact same thing, only slightly different. Her character is basically the same person. No, she's such a great actress. And then I watched her in a different film where she travels back in time, right? Oh, not travels back. Her and her sister. This is one that they really enjoy. This is one that they really, really enjoy. I've seen it pop off 1,010 times and fail 2,010 times. So two sisters marry people, separate people. Okay, separate people. Okay, whew. Gotta clarify, so two sisters marry separate people. One gets really rich, and they become like the richest people in Beijing or whatever city they're in, and the other is like poor, and she's like in an asylum. Their words, not mine. Okay, their words, not mine. And then this sister on who was mentally disturbed, ends up um and then so what happens is we're gonna skip that section. And so, to this other sister, and both of them travel back in time to before they were married, but they don't know that they are both traveled back in time. So this sister marries this girl's husband instead, thinking that she's gonna get rich, and then this girl ends up marrying like either her this sister's husband or a totally different guy who's better. And this is a whole cycle of just horrible, horrible, horrible stuff happening over and over and over again. This family just destroying itself, and just, oh, it's terrible. And it's set usually in the late 70s, 80s of China. Now, as I said before, I am no historical scholar, and I don't plan on being one of Chinese history. But from what I gather, during the late 70s and 80s, when these films are, I believe, being portrayed, there was rationing going on. And so you see food rations a lot. And then the prodigy angle would come in when, let's just say, she's like trying to sell like better vegetables and stuff, and she's like supplying the community with a lot of food, or helping the community prosper in some way. Take note, most of the time she will not take full credit for this work and will pass the knowledge out, in the manner that is also often known as the thing that is opposite of capitalism. That is, it's an agenda in a lot of things, because it's just like, I don't take credit for all of the work, even though it was my idea and I did 99% of the stuff. I don't get the reward for that, because we are team players. You know what I'm talking about. I'm trying not to get kicked out of this country. So, I gotta be real careful with the wording, especially with certain people. Anyway, so, so, so that usually happens. As I said, we'll get into the propaganda later. It's always fun. If you just look at this from a very broad standpoint, you'll think, oh, these are just short films, right? They play in the daytime, they play in the doctor's office. Nobody sees the full thing. And nobody really cares about these except for the people who, like me, who have an obsession with stuff and end up getting cooked on it for 5 months. And I've spent way too many hours doing things that they should have just been doing homework instead. But it's fine anyway. Aren't usually watched by a lot of people. Only they are. If the numbers on these videos are telling the truth and they're not just bots, they're being watched by a lot of people. And I mean a lot, okay? Millions, actually. I was looking at one of these videos. It was horrible. It was terrible. And it had like 3 million views on this video. And it came out like 3 days. Future me here. I, I don't know. The video wasn't really recording for me in that moment. It just cut out again. So it's whatever. But, it's a whole lot of things. So this is the introduction to a very long series that I will be running. I hope you enjoy it, because honestly, it is a lot of fun for me to do this. And now as we get ready to go into the summer, I'll just be doing my summer classes and whatever. But, getting ready to do all the things. But I hope to carry this until early fall. I'll be doing it kind of like as my main project, so the other videos that come out during the summer will not be like as intense, obviously, because this is the main thing. But yeah, it is a journey, and I absolutely love it. If you want to help with research or something, talk to me down in the comments. I'm so, yeah, because this is fun. Actually, it's a lot of fun. Obviously, beware. As I said, there's a lot of topics throughout these that are very touchy and in like not in the bad way, you know, but yeah. So my camera died, so I'm gonna call it quits. That's a long video. It was actually gonna be longer. I had a few more points, but I'll just put those off into another one. Our next section, which will be propaganda, actually. So fun. How we love it. I was inspired by a YouTube channel called Paper Will. Go check him out. Really good channel. I was inspired by his deep dive into North Korean entertainment and then cult entertainment as well. I was watching those videos because there are some similarities, especially with the earlier North Korean entertainment and Chinese entertainment at this dramas at this moment that I've noticed, especially on this level. So obviously we'll get into more of that later. It won't be going into as much detail as he does because I won't be. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I didn't notice it as much. Okay, I'm going off topic. I should hush. But anyway, I didn't notice the propaganda as much when I first started to watch it. But then as I guess, got deeper into the less mainstream dramas, you see a bit more of it, especially in the ones that take you kind of out of the more for the Western audience, and when it's more for the audience of China, right? The people who live there. That's who's the main people watching this, so it's targeting them, and it's very interesting to see what changes in the relationship dynamics, just how they portray women, how they portray men, parents, things like that. The family dynamic is a very interesting topic. I don't know. Actually, I might do a breakdown of the characters first and then go into... I'll probably... Actually, yeah. I'll change my mind just now. We will be doing a breakdown of each of the many types of characters throughout these films. And it will be a long journey. But I'll see you in a bit. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot, but it's gonna be fun. So, strap in. I'll see you in a couple. I'll be back. I'm always back, you know. Eventually. So yeah. All right. Ooh. You should really stop, you know, because I mean, I feel like you're just following me around or something. It's like you're nearby. How unnerving. Get a life. Go to bed. Go to bed. Like, honestly, go to bed. Sheesh, you probably have to work in the morning. people these days. Doing too much.